Okay, I've said this in the past, but I will continue to say it. The official Pokemon website has amazing game guides and just well-written articles in general. You head on over to the Strategy Center and boom, you got everything. Raising battle-ready Pokemon. We got competitive guides that break down actually how to make competitive Pokemon for battling on the official Pokemon website. That's pretty cool right now. TCG, Pokemon Go, there's even some Pokken Tournament, 10 tips for catching legendary Pokemon. They go into the details about getting a Smeargle. Like, I would have never expected Synchronized to be an official Pokemon guide on getting the right abilities and stuff. So Pokemon Company has really stepped it up, and their new article is also pretty good because it's about Pokemon Crystal. So Pokemon Crystal for the Virtual Console is a recent release. I'm wondering if this is also to just kind of like promote the game as well. Like, hey, remember this cool thing from the past? Well, now it connects to the 3DS, so you should buy it and then try out all these cool new things inside of it. So with that, there's like roughly 10 rare Pokemon you can catch inside this guide, and I thought it'd be pretty fun to cover. So first off, iconic allies. Not really much to say about this. It's not like you have to go out and hunt the starter Pokemon or do anything crazy to get them. You just start your game with them. But the really awesome thing about this are the hidden abilities, and even the Pokemon Company acknowledges that. Each of these Pokemon have powerful hidden abilities, such as Feraligatr Sheer Force. Be careful not to transfer such key Pokemon too soon. We'd suggest finishing your adventure in Johto before transferring your beloved partner Pokemon to Alola. That's just because the stats, the base stats of a starter Pokemon are going to be much higher than the average Pokemon, and it's going to be really good for beating the game with. However, once you transfer it, we actually have access to something we haven't had access to in years. Because the last time we had access to the Johto starter Pokemon with their hidden abilities was back in 2015 as a part of a Pokemon Bank distribution. So it wasn't for everyone, and then also just kind of like dropped off because not everyone is using the hidden abilities on the Johto starters. Might be hard to source a breeder to be able to breed down those hidden abilities and stuff, but now everyone has it. You get Crystal version, boom, you get choose your starter, and now we have just like a modern breedability, I think is one way of putting it, for all of these hidden abilities. So you can get Flash Fire and Typhlosion. Unfortunately, Meganiums isn't the best, but I think Sheer Force and Flash Fire for Typhlosion and for Alligator are going to be pretty solid, and they mention that right here in the guide. Next up, we have Hatchapal. So yeah, you get your Pokemon egg as you go through your adventure in Violet City, and that's going to turn into a Togepi, which becomes a Togekiss, and I personally love Togekiss. Very powerful Pokemon. Unfortunately, with the hidden ability, it's not going to be Serene Grace. So you'll have to work around that, but hey, you get Togepi, and it is a one-time event, so it is a pretty rare Pokemon. Just have to go through with hatching it. But another thing to note is that there are more Pokemon to hatch inside of Pokemon Crystal version with the Odd Egg. Now, the Odd Egg for international release actually has a 14% chance of having the hatch Pokemon be shiny. So you receive the egg, and then boom. Well, it's actually, okay, so it's kind of crazy, because there's a chance that that Pokemon, or the egg, is going to be a specific Pokemon, and then there's a really small chance that it can be shiny, but with the cumulative odds, we actually boil it down to a 14% chance to have a shiny of any of these. However, if you want that specific Pokemon to be shiny, it's only going to be a 1%. Now, considering the 1 in thousands of odds for the average shiny Pokemon, 1% still isn't too bad, but it does take an upwards of like 6 to 10 minutes to actually hatch a single egg, so doing the soft reset can take a little bit of time, even at a 14% chance to receive a shiny Pokemon. Yeah, international version of Pokemon Crystal, receive the Odd Egg for the Daycare Man at the daycare on Route 34. That's all you need to know about it, so let's keep on moving down the list. Legendary encounters. So Pokemon Crystal is special because you actually don't have to hunt down Suicune. Suicune comes to you in the Tin Tower, and that's how you fight it, but then you will have to find Raikou and Entei. But then they also talk about all of the other legendary Pokemon. Lugia, Ho-Oh, Raikou, Entei, Suicune. They also kind of work really well together because if you have Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, well, those are going to be exclusives. They even mentioned this right here. Entei and Lugia can't be found in Pokemon Ultra Sun. Raikou and Ho-Oh are unavailable in Pokemon Ultra Moon. So that means you can actually like kind of piece all of this together. You can end up with a second Suicune, can end up with a second of all of these Pokemon. Also, we have the Year of Legendary Pokemon event. So you can end up with what, like 3 Lugia, 3 Suicune, 2 Raikou or Entei or whatever, like Ho-Oh, depending on what game you have. So that's pretty crazy. And also, when it comes to Crystal version, these are going to be much more valuable because multi-scale Lugia that has access to Curse. That's broken. That's ridiculous. Also, a fire Pokemon with Regenerator in Ho-Oh is very powerful as well. And then we finally have the hidden abilities for the Legendary Beast Trio. So all of this is pretty nice, and when it comes down to like obtaining the Pokemon, you can find maps and guides online on how to do it. You know, hunting roaming Pokemon, that's kind of an art in itself because you have to keep encountering them, then they'll stick around longer, and you might be able to like mean look them or something. So it takes a lot to actually hunt those Pokemon, and then when it comes to finding Lugia or Ho-Oh, it's generally like somewhat of a maze, but Lugia's is really interesting because you just go into Island B. So you go to the top right island, you just go to this top path, the top path leads you here, and then boom, you head down to Lugia and you're good to go. Now the map isn't the exact same between Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, but it's roughly the same idea. And then when it comes to Ho-Oh, nah, I ain't putting myself through that again, but there's the map if you need it. Then we get to talk about Celebi. Now, Celebi is very interesting because there's actually a couple of steps that you need to take. You can't just walk up and get yourselves a Celebi, but at the same time, it's actually pretty valuable and it can be shiny. So if you want to go through the 1 in 8,000 odds to soft reset for the legitimate shiny Celebi that can now finally exist without shiny lock in a modern Pokemon game, this is the time to do it. So you have to enter the Hall of Fame. So it means you have to beat the champion, become champion, all that good stuff. Then you have to go to Goldenrod City inside the Pokemon Center, and in there you will receive the GS Ball. After that, you talk to Kurt. Kurt will then say, hey, go to Alex Forest because the forest is rustling. You go to the shrine, and then that is how you can get the Celebi encounter. So it's pretty much the steps that happened in Pokemon Crystal version, but you actually needed an internet connection back in 2001 via a cell phone and the Game Boy Link, which was Japan only, on a Japan only copy of Crystal version, to be able to officially do the Celebi event back in the day. Needless to say, a bit challenging, so at least they were actually able to scale that up and then integrate it in a very meaningful way for the Virtual Console. And then I love this, because it's red. Why else get this Gyarados? You know, what? There's tons of Gyarados. There's even like millions and billions of Magikarp. You know, one Magikarp lays 1,000 eggs, and then 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 million, 1,000 times millions, a billion, and you can become a very, very rich man by selling Magikarp. So what's the point of getting an extra Gyarados, especially a red Gyarados that looks like a Magikarp? Well, because it's red. Now, I strongly recommend catching this Gyarados, and I'll try to remember to put a card in the top right corner of your video showing you the guide, because if you catch the Gyarados, what you can do is actually use the time capsule to put it into the first generation Pokemon games, use the Ditto glitch, guarantee yourself a shiny Ditto, use that Ditto in the second generation games, and then you have 1 in 64 shiny breeding odds in the Gen 2 Pokemon games. A little crazy, but it's pretty awesome. Next up, we have Pokedex Progress, because Pokemon Crystal version has exclusive Pokemon that aren't going to be found in the Alola region, so even with Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, can't get all this good stuff like Hoppip, Nidoran, Oddish, Sentret. Hoppip is interesting, because Hoppip into Jumpluff actually gets Strength Sap now via an egg move with breeding in Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Might be a nice Pokemon to add to your collection if you don't have it through the Pokemon Bank. Donphan, Girafarig, Quillfish, Shuckle, Sunflora. There's a lot of rare Pokemon that you cannot receive in the 7th generation Pokemon games, so that is going to be pretty awesome. Yeah, are all among Johto's most memorable Pokemon, and none of them are available in the Alola region. So that's a pretty good list right there. And then we get to talk about Unknown, which are pretty interesting that they haven't been obtainable since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and even then it's kind of strange. You had a Mirage Cave, so a specific Mirage Cave to go and catch all of the Unknown. There was none of them in the 5th generation. Then the 4th generation actually gave quite a bit of representation because we had the Gen 2 remakes, but also you can find them in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum version inside the game. After that's like Trade, Pokemon Bank, Pokemon Bank. So actually being able to catch the Unknown in their original environment and then transferring them over, that's going to be some pretty cool stuff. And then we go into the Pokemon with their hidden abilities. So I like this a lot too, because like Natu, Xatu, not the most common Pokemon that you don't see that often and hardly used competitively, but the Pokemon Company still gives them a shout out because, hey, Magic Bounce is a really good ability. We're talking about Magic Bounce where you have Piloswine, Swinub, and Mamoswine for that thick fat, Politoed for Drizzle, Snorlax for Gluttony, even saying like, hey, instead of actually like going through the difficult tasks of like SOSing and then trying to get the Pokemon with a hidden ability that way, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, it can be strenuous to track down Pokemon with hidden abilities through SOS battles, but everything everything that you catch in the second generation Pokemon games will have their hidden abilities, as well as anything on the Virtual Console, so the first generation games as well. Even talking about, yo, check this out. Get Tyrogue into Hitmonlee so you can have its powerful hidden ability Unburden. So yeah, you can also track down Tyrogue inside the games. Tyrogue is going to be from our good friend Kiyo. He was in the first generation games, but then gives you a Tyrogue, which you can then kind of use to train properly into the Pokemon that you're looking for. He can be found inside of Mount Mortar. After that, we're talking about TMs, but then boom, the Kanto Classics. So you can find Pokemon like Diglett, Exeggutor, Meowth, and Muk to add to your collection, and then much like with the Generation 1 Pokemon games on the Virtual Console, they will actually be in their original forms, and they won't be forced as an Alolan Pokemon, so you can obtain them that way and then transfer them over because they are not natively found in the Alola region. That was quite a lot to talk about, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.